What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, another week of the Clueless Yanks podcast. It's your boy Logan.
Howdy, howdy, it is Sling.
As y'all may have already realized, we are without our third. We were without Jake this week. Caught up in work, really busy week for him, especially today, and we wanted to get the pod out by tonight before the game start up tomorrow in the Champions League. And so just Sling, just going to be me and Sling this week for you guys. And hopefully you guys can bear with us. There's going to be a little bit of Arsenal bias along the way, but it'll be all right. There's nothing wrong with that. How you feeling today, Sling?
Feeling pretty good. No Chelsea casuals on the pod today to kind of stirs things
to
up.
To spin their ass whooping to West Brom on the weekend.
Yeah, spin their.
I kind of wanted to hear Jake's takes on that. I'm a little disappointed that we don't get to hear that, but maybe we can touch up on it next week or something.
Yeah.
What did you get into this weekend?
What did I do this weekend? I actually, my allergies have been kicking my ass lately, so, I didn't do a whole lot of anything.
Recharge the batteries?
I had to recharge this weekend, pretty much.
You got, you're Mr. Sports Gambling Connoisseur. You got any bets on tonight's game? National Championship?
I forgot about tonight's game. I haven't put my bet in, but I do know that the last bet I put in was on the Gonzaga UCLA game, and I lost that one. Unfortunately, very close, but I don't know. I might sit this one out, enjoy it as a fan, and it'll be a good game. So probably sit back and enjoy it as a fan.
I hate how late it is. That's weird, but
yeah, it's at 8:20.
It's gonna suck for East Coast people, but I guess I don't know. It's normally college basketball games are only like 2 hours long, so it's not too terrible.
We'll see.
All right. Anyways, let's before we get right into the action, we want to touch real quick. Once again, wish Jake was here to discuss this because I know he has his opinions. But we want to touch on the whole Josie Altidore Taylor Twellman saga that went on earlier in the week. Taylor Twellman, obviously, last week, he's a very passionate analyst. He's an analyst at ESPN for basically the U.S. men's national team. Not really just soccer and football in general, but more focused on the U.S. men's national team. He played for the U.S. men's national team. Unfortunately, his career was cut short due to several concussions. He had to hang up the boots, and now as an analyst, he's a very good one in my opinion. I like his passion. It kind of gives more of a – you can tell that it hurts him when things like last week's Olympic qualifying debacle goes that way. And you can tell that it affected him, and he has little passionate rants. And for some reason, Josie Altidore took offense to what he said. I don't know exactly why. I don't know why this came up. But basically, he took offense to whatever Taylor Twellman said and just went on a tirade on Twitter out at him. I'm going to pull up the tweets right now, see what we can see about it. But it was he basically quoted a Taylor Twellman tweet. Actually, I don't even know if it was a Taylor Twellman tweet. It was a tweet that involved a Taylor Twellman video, and he quoted it. And he said, and I quote, "Taylor Twellman's national team career was laughable. Beasley should be that analyst or Amia Hamm. Twellman needed to be on an extra time radio with Bobby Warshaw. He a white boy with connects. Stop giving him a platform." It's a
little racist, Josie.
I don't know. It seems a little bit he got lots of backlash. You can tell the replies in this tweet that's a little racist. Other things, people, this is a disgraceful tweet by Josie. It didn't settle very well with the masses. First of all, I don't understand why he's attacking Taylor Twellman as an analyst. I think he's, look, we're not the greatest soccer nation, so we're not going to have the most brilliant analysts, but I feel like Taylor is one of the better ones we have. So I don't know why he's going there. And then, he has he's a white boy with connects.
Oh my God.
How you feel about that attack on Twitter?
I mean, I was just going to sit there and out of nowhere try to pull out some white privilege crap on Taylor Twellman when he
for no reason.
Yeah, he said nothing to him, said nothing about him. Didn't after his reaction to all this was to donate money to Josie's foundation or whatever.
Yeah,
I think I
okay. So
saw that.
he brought up the fact that like he's a role model for young African American soccer players and kids in Haiti and the Caribbean, and I'm like, I don't understand what the fuck that has to do with Taylor Twellman, but okay. And he made the comment that Taylor Twellman has apparently before, described Josie as big, strong, and athletic. And he's used the same thing to describe Daryl DK. And I guess Josie was trying to insinuate that that's like some kind of racial undertone to it, like, oh, it's because he's black. That's why he calls it. No, when you look at Josie Altidore, when you look at Daryl DK play, what do you think? They are big, strong, athletic dudes. I mean, that just jumps out on the page. I've never seen Taylor Twellman call DeMarcus Beasley big, strong, and athletic. I've never seen him say that about Tyler Adams. I've never seen him say that about Serginho Dest. These other black players that play for the national team. So it's a shame. I'm someone that has appreciated Josie Altidore's career probably more than the average U.S. men's national team fan, just because they've put so much stock into his injuries that he's had. And I'm someone that when I played sports, I went through struggles of injuries, and I'm sure a lot of us have. And when you go through it yourself, you have a little bit more sympathy for guys like that. And look, you want to be out on the field more than you want to just be sitting on the bench and watching your teammates go through it. And so I don't like knocking Josie Altidore because he suffered so many hamstring injuries and all that during his career. I think what he's done on the pitch has been a strong, solid career as a U.S. men's national teamer. And if you think about, your greatest ever players in men's national team history, he's probably top 10, if not top 15. He's had a very respectable and very solid career for the men's national team. But my view of him, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's a little shaded now and has dropped a bit after seeing his rant on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, I was a big Josie guy for a long time, like growing up. I mean, my first like MLS team was like the Red Bulls. Like that was a fun team for me to watch. Um, and so I don't know, that was just really weird to see that come from him.
Yeah, he didn't. I was expecting, okay, maybe he'll grow up and apologize for it. He's doubled down, he's tripled down on his comments. Yeah, I don't understand where he's coming from. I'd like to hear your opinion on the situation. I'm pretty sure about 80-90% of U.S. men's national team Twitter is doesn't really understand what Josie's trying to do here. And if you guys have any comments on the situation, we'd love to hear it from you all. But anyways, enough about that. Let's jump into the Premier League action from this week. And the Premier League was back after a couple week hiatus during the international break. I enjoyed the international break, but it's good to have the Premier League back, albeit it wasn't a very fun weekend for me and Sling as fans. It wasn't a fun weekend for Jake either, but he's able to dodge the heat on the podcast this week. But speaking of Jake, let's start with his Blues. It was the first game on the weekend, 6:30 a.m. sharp. Did not wake up to watch that game. I woke up and I saw that they lost 5-2 to West Brom.
Sure did.
Yeah, kind of a shocking result. Obviously, they hadn't lost a single game under Tuchel. They had kept so many clean sheets, and all of a sudden they gave up 5 to West Brom, who are second bottom. Not a good team at all. And yeah, that was a kind of a crazy result. I'm sure nobody saw that one coming.
I mean, when I looked at the score, I was pretty surprised too. Like
I thought I was like looking at it wrong.
I was like, wait a second, what the fuck is this? No, I don't know, man. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they obviously went down to 10 men. Thiago Silva, just a really stupid. He got a yellow card earlier in the match, and then because I watched the full highlights of the game, and then they were up, I believe, 1-0 at the time. Christian Pulisic got a goal off of a rebound and a free kick. Nice anticipation, good finish by him. Shout out to our fellow American there. But then shortly after that, Thiago Silva on a yellow card just slides in to try and block a challenge at the top of the box, and he just follows through and just studs right into the dude's I think his ankle or whatever. It's a pretty clear second yellow. He gets sent off, and then yeah, it was pretty much downhill from there. West Brom took the lead. They scored 4 straight to go up 4-1. Mason Mount got a goal to make it 4-2, and then West Brom capped it off 5-2. I thought it was actually a really good performance by West Brom. I think it's a lot easier to play like that when you're playing against 10 men, to be fair. But yeah, not very good from Chelsea, because even if you go down to 10 men, you're playing at home against a team like West Brom that's not very good. You're already winning when it happens. You're up 1-0. Just defend and hit them on the counter, and they just weren't able to see that game out. Unfortunately, like we said, we mentioned Pulisic. He got a goal. But then he followed it up in typical Pulisic fashion, as it seems, as of the last year or so. He followed up, went out after halftime. I was about to go back onto the pitch. He ran about 5-10 yards to a cone and immediately turned around and basically told Thomas Tuchel that, his hamstring is not going to be able to make it through much longer in this match. And so they took him out. Hopefully that is a precautionary thing. Hopefully it's not hopefully he didn't, pull something already or, get a strain or, tear or anything. I don't think it was that bad. Hopefully it's just a precautionary thing and he's able to recover quickly. But yeah, so it was great to see him on the score sheet, but then we follow that back up immediately with him and some more injury troubles. Moving on to the next game from the Big Six on the weekend, Manchester City, they played Leicester, probably the biggest game on the weekend, and they were able to pull out the 2-0 victory. Man City, they just put together, I swear lately they've just been winning every single game 2-0. But
they win every single game, but
yeah, that's true. But then 80% of the ones they win is just 2-0 every single time. It was a pretty good. It was a decent game. I mean, Leicester provided a little bit, not a ton, but City were definitely worth the 2-0 victory, as they just keep inching closer and closer to that title, that third title in 4 seasons. I think that'd be their 5th title in the last 10 or 11 seasons. So they continue to. Yeah, it's just inevitable at this point. Mathematically, I think in a few weeks it might just be over. So, well, it's only just counting down the days, the weeks until they're crowned champions again. Then we move on to the late game on Saturday afternoon. Arsenal versus Liverpool. Jeez, that was just. I've not been physically disgusted by a lot of performances, but I was disgusted by that one.
There was nothing that looked good about them,
No.
at all. I can't think
pitiful.
of one good thing I can take away from that match. Not one.
The only thing I could think of is the fact that in the first half, even though we provided nothing going forward, we at least defended well, I guess. And they didn't, even though they had all the ball, they weren't looking super threatening. But it was just terrible. I mean, we provided nothing. I mean, I think we had 2 shots the entire game, 2 or 3 shots, and they were just half. They weren't even good opportunities. They were just kind of just shoot it and hope and pray. That was.
Yeah, Arteta was very very apologetic after that one.
I wish he. I like how he's apologetic, I guess, but I hope he went into the locker room and just freaking chewed them a new one after that game.
Absolutely railed them. No pause. I hope he physically went in there and railed each and every one of them for what they put out on Saturday. That was bad.
Yeah, that was one of the more pathetic performances I've seen from Arsenal in a while. We obviously had that terrible performance against Aston Villa earlier in the year when we lost 3-0 at home. Yeah. But I mean, in that game, I felt like Aston Villa, they just counterattacked us really well, and we just didn't defend well. But at least we were providing something going forward. This game, we just did nothing. That was I was sitting there watching that game at one point. I think it was when they made it 2-0 in the second half. I was kind of sitting there I didn't know what I was watching, because I felt like we've taken some strides forward, albeit the results maybe haven't followed along with that, because that's the problem with our team, and we did it again against Liverpool. Is we make so many individual errors. But I thought as a team, the way we've been playing lately over the last month or two, we've made some strides forward, and that just looked 7-8 strides backwards from that performance. I mean, that was just pitiful.
Well, those strides forward were the presence of guys like Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe, and those two obviously were not in the lineup this past weekend, and you saw how we played without those two. So I guess it just kind of goes to show the impact that those two have had lately. And
it's kind of sad too that we're so reliant
of two youngsters like that.
A 19 and 20-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, it shows the importance they're going to have moving forward, and I
think it shows. Or go ahead.
I was going to just say the importance that those two have moving forward.
Yeah, I think it shows too. I think we underrate the importance of guys like David Luiz and Granit Xhaka as well. I thought in the midfield we got absolutely bossed around, just destroy. I thought Partey he was probably our best player, albeit he probably put in a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 performance. It wasn't anything great, but that just shows how bad the rest of the team was. At least he was trying to do some things, but Ceballos once again was absolutely horrible. I don't know what's happened to him. It's like
He
ever
was
since he
bad
made that
this year.
mistake. It's like ever since he made that mistake against Benfica in the Europa League, like a month or so ago. It's like his head is just gone, and he just has zero confidence. I mean, he gets the ball and he'll like trip over his own feet sometimes, and then he'll have a pass like you can see it clear as day, and he'll look at it, and then he just doesn't pass the ball, and he just continues to just keep dribbling, and then eventually gets ripped. It's like I don't. Is he pressing? Is he trying too hard? I don't know, but I've been really disappointed with him lately. And it's more bad news. Kieran Tierney gets hurt in the first half. Looks like a knee injury. The only thing I can take from it that's like somewhat hopeful is the fact that it was a contact injury. It's not like he just planted and then went down. Somebody crashed into his knee, and so sometimes maybe that hopefully that's just a bruise or something like that, and no kind of ligament damage. Because if that is, I mean, we're in trouble. Um, you saw obviously David Luiz had surgery yesterday on his knee. I don't know how that happens. He's just been at London Colney the last couple of weeks. Obviously, he didn't go to Brazil for international break or anything. I don't even know if he still plays for Brazil. He might be
Probably
retired
not.
from the national team, but so somehow I guess he freaking tore something in his knee in training while everybody else is at an international break. So that's great. And I like how I was just thinking about this because, as an Arsenal fan, we get so used to we always have injuries. But I was thinking about it, recently. I was like, damn, we really just haven't had a ton of injuries this season. And now we have Saka out, we have Smith Rowe out, we have Tierney that just got injured, Xhaka's out, David Luiz is out, maybe for the rest of the season. And yeah, it's starting to. I'm getting worried for this upcoming game on Thursday because I mean that's our season now. And if we shit the bed in that game, it's going to be. I'm praying that a guy like Xhaka is back. I hope at least one of Smith Rowe or Saka is back for that game because it's looking a little bit. It's not looking good at the moment.
One of those few guys, we get them back in form, get them back match fit. I think we'll be all right. But what I saw this past weekend, we have some very glaring holes in our lineup right now, and I hope we
Yeah,
can get those guys fit.
yeah. So horrible performance. Good performance by Liverpool. I had a bad feeling about that game. I literally I texted the group chat and I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool put in like a prime performance today, and they didn't, but they looked better than they have been in weeks. That international break probably did them a lot of good, and maybe they'll finish the season strong. I think now they're only 2 points off of Chelsea in fourth place, so they have a shot. They have a shot to still make it into the top four after what's been a really poor season for them. Obviously, they've battled injuries, a lot of injuries, especially to key players this year. But yeah, a huge win for them. It's the first time they've only beaten Arsenal at the Emirates like once in the last like 12 years before that game. And so, they normally don't, we do terrible at Anfield, but we normally do pretty well against Liverpool at home. And that wasn't the case on Saturday. So hopefully the boys bounce back. Hopefully they got to bounce back at this point. There's got to be some kind of response. You can't have that, putrid and terrible of a performance and then not show up with some kind of response on Thursday.
Right.
Staying in North London, actually, although Spurs were away to Newcastle, they drew 2-2. Newcastle, our guy Joe Willock with the
Joe
85th or
motherfucking
86th
Willick.
minute equalizer to snatch points. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want Newcastle to go down, and so this kind of hurt Fulham's chances of jumping them because Fulham did lose at the weekend, and Newcastle obviously gained a valuable point. But hey, anytime Spurs drops points, I'm completely fine with that. I do not want them in the Champions League their next season, and that definitely hurt their cases. They had a big opportunity to. I think they actually would have been level with Chelsea on points if they won that game after Chelsea dropped or caught an L against West Brom, and then they just choked it away and lost. Or I mean, it feels like a loss, albeit a 2-2 draw. And yeah, I mean, I watched the game. I mean, Spurs they probably should have won. They had a couple more opportunities they just didn't put away, but they weren't anything great. You play a team like Newcastle, you should be putting in a better performance than that. And it's almost like it's Harry Kane or bust, especially with Son. I think he came into the game off the bench, but he's obviously been hurt for a few weeks after suffering that injury against Arsenal. And right now, it's just, I mean, give it to Harry Kane and hope that he scores, or else we're kind of screwed.
Right.
So missed opportunity for Spurs, um, and yeah, big two big drop points. It's going to feel a lot more like a loss than a draw for Tottenham fans. Finally, the last game from the weekend in the Big Six, United they hosted Brighton and Hove Albion, and Tanny Welbeck he did it again to start off the game. He loves scoring against Manchester United. He scored a couple times when he was at Arsenal against Man United, and now he scored I think a couple times too for Brighton against Man United. He had a nice header that was saved really well by Henderson. And then he was able to get the rebound and just put it back in. But United hung on once again. They keep eking out results. I think that's 10 games unbeaten now for them in the Premier League as they kind of solidify their spot in second place. I think that's got to be them wrapping up a Champions League spot. Pretty
Oh yeah,
much almost
definitely.
guaranteed by now. And yeah, I saw. I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like they have a new number one in Manchester, and that's Dean Henderson in goal over David De Gea. Did you notice that?
Really,
Yeah. So
I did not
apparently,
see that.
apparently, I like kind of follow some of the, or not some. I follow one of the guys that does United Stand, which is like their fan channel. His name's Mark Goldbridge, and he was talking
Yeah,
today about how there was apparently a falling out in the United dressing room, and basically there's like players that don't want De Gea starting. I don't know why. I felt like he's been pretty good for them this season, but they basically just didn't want
overall,
him.
I feel like he's been pretty good for
Oh yeah,
them.
he's probably he's a club legend. I feel like, and
Yeah,
he's been there for 8, 10 years or however long. And but apparently there's players that don't want him starting, and there's rumors going around that there's a falling out in the dressing room, and the players went and talked to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and basically said that yeah we don't want De Gea starting, we want Henderson in net, and so Henderson got the start and got the win, didn't get the clean sheet but got the win, and I guess that'll be interesting to see from now on. We'll see how that situation goes and if there'll be any more ensuing drama from it in Manchester.
yeah. I think that will be more interesting to kind of look back on come like the next transfer window, see if
Yeah.
they sell him, get him out of there.
Well, I think it'll be interesting to see too this upcoming week because Henderson has been their cup goalie, so he's played in like the FA Cup and the League Cup and Europa League, and now so is De Gea going to take over in the Europa League for them now? If he's like if they're flip flopping spots, or is Henderson just going to start every game from now until the end of the season? That'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Henderson's younger. I think he's like in his early 20s, early to mid 20s. He's an England international, might even be England's number one. So I can see kind of like why they shifted to him, but at the same time, I feel like De Gea's just done nothing wrong, and
No,
so yeah, it'll be an interesting story to follow for from now until the end of the season. Then, like you said, what happens in the summer? Are they going to get rid of him? Where's he going to end up?
yeah.
All right, let's take a break from the Big Six real quick. We obviously got it. It's time to get into our U.S. men's national team rundown. Um, Obviously, Jake normally takes the reins on this, heads this up, and then I kind of chime in. But seeing that Jake is gone, Sling's gonna take the reins. It's first time ever doing the
Yes, sir.
U.S. men's national team rundown. Let's see how he does. Take it away, Sling.
All right. Here's how it's going to run down here. Obviously, we're talking about Christian Pulisic, still stay in England and move on to the championship. Just earlier today, Daryl Dike bagged a brace for Barnsley in a 2-1 victory over Luton Town. That's now 6 straight road victories for the Reds as they hold firm in 5th place in the championship.
Yeah.
That was.
Um,
Oh, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I kind of chime in after every point, and
All right.
yeah, I mean, I was looking on Twitter today, and I was scrolling up through my timeline, and I forgot Barnsley were even playing because I think they just played on Friday, so I didn't expect them to be playing again this soon on Monday. And yeah, it was Daryl DK again was the tweet, and I was like, okay, maybe he just scored another goal for them. But then I found out that it was a brace. He's just on fire. His first goal was really good. I mean, he held off the defender, used his size, his big, fast, and athletic. Uh, which one to call
Whoa,
it?
dude. Can't
Play.
say that.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, Josie. That's racist. But no, he used his size and strength to hold off of a defender, and then perfect shot into the corner with lots of power on it. Um, and that gave them 1-0 lead. And then they shortly, in the second half, they shortly went up 2-0 off of a goal from him. It was kind of a more scrappy goal, rebound, ball bouncing around the box. But a goal was a goal. And then he actually had a chance for the hat trick. I'm not a Barnsley fan by any means, but I have been following them a little bit, and I noticed from their fans is that they do not have a penalty taker at their club. Like they're terrible at taking penalties. They get penalties all the time. And they miss like over half of them, which is obviously really bad. And so DK got it. He got a chance for his first ever hat trick Unfortunately, it was saved, and then the rebound was saved as well. And then actually, what was funny, it was one of those Watford moments where the keeper saved and the team went up on the other end and scored off of it, and Luton Town made it 2-1. But Barnsley was able to hold on. They moved back into fifth place in the championship. Obviously, they're probably not going to make it in those automatic promotion spots, the first and second spots, but they're holding firm in those 3 through 6 spots. They get to play in the championship playoffs to see which final team gets promoted to the Premier League. And DK keeps making noise. I've seen earlier this week that teams like Everton, Chelsea, Man United have all put inquiries about him. Have sent scouts to go watch Barnsley play, in particular to watch him. So yeah, he's blowing up. He's somebody that like a year ago I didn't even really know he existed. To be honest with you, he didn't even really come onto the scene until the MLS's back tournament, which happened I want to say like last summer. So it's been less
Yeah,
than a year since he's kind of bursted onto the scene. I mean, he's just taken off, and
very sudden, very
yeah,
sudden.
and he's taken brilliant opportunity of he's taken doing a really good job of taking his chance, and hopefully he continues to play really good for Barnsley. Maybe gets them promoted to the Premier League.
Yeah, good shit. Love to see it. Love to see it. Elsewhere in England, Lyndon Gooch scored again for Sunderland in a 3-1 win over Oxford United on Friday.
Yeah, the old Goochmeister. He scored a couple weeks ago in a big League Cup win for them. That won them their first trophy, I think, in like 50 years or so. And he scores in this game, gets them the win. Sunderland are actually sitting third in the League One table, so that is very similar to the Championship. It's 1 and 2 get automatically promoted, and then 3 through 6 play in the semifinal and final matchup to see who that one last team gets promoted. And actually, they're 2 points behind second place, and they have a game in hand on that second place team. So if they win that, they'd be in second and be in the automatic promotion spots. So if Lennon Gooch wants to get back into the national team picture, and he seems to be playing pretty well, he's definitely going to try and force Sunderland back up into the championship. You start doing good things in the championship, you'll get Greg Berhalter's attention, and maybe find an avenue back into the squad. Because I mean, I think he's still only like 24, 25. It's not like he's 30 years old or kind of on the back end of his career. So he still has plenty more to give.
Very good. Moving over into France now, Tim Weah made an early appearance off the bench for Lille and played, or Lille, excuse me,
Lil,
and played Lille and played 60 minutes in a huge 1-0 win over PSG. Wow, to jump back into first place in the League One table.
yeah, PSG. They were level with PSG on points. I think they both had 63 points, and but PSG had like a substantial goal differential advantage on them. And I didn't see that coming. I thought Lille have been kind of faltering lately, drawing games they should have been winning, losing games that they shouldn't be losing. Because they had like a decent gap on PSG, but then PSG made it up and were actually in first. But I didn't see them winning that game. They got a big win. Jonathan David, a fellow CONCACAFian, obviously plays for the Canadian national team. He got injured in like the first 25, 30 minutes of the game. And so he had to be subbed off, and then Weah came on in place of him. And from what I've seen, he played really well. I watched like a little highlight clip of him. He actually had like a really unselfish pass late in the game when they were up 1-0. Well, I mean, obviously they won 1-0, but they were winning 1-0, and he had a really unselfish pass, really good slip pass to a fellow forward on Lille, and should have gotten an assist. The dude didn't finish it off, but I thought he played pretty well when he came in off the bench, and I'm just really looking forward to when we finally see him again in red, white, and blue. It's been too long.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. Moving on now. Americans saw plenty of action over the weekend in Germany as per usual. Josh Sargent, Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, and John Brooks all started for their clubs, with Brooks being the only one coming out on the winning side.
Yeah, kind of rough for. I mean, Sargent, he plays for Werder Bremen. I mean, they don't win a ton of games, to be fair. I think they lost on like an own goal. Chris Richards, his team lost as well. And then Tyler Adams, they played Bayern, lost 1-0. That was basically the title decider. So it looks like Bayern's going to win the Bundesliga for the 70th year in a row. Such a competitive league over there in Germany. They're all on the losing side, but
Farmers
then
League.
yeah, but then hey, John Brooks got another win. They were able to get the W as they stand firm. I think they're in they're in a stronghold in a third position in the Bundesliga table, and it's looking more and more likely that they're going to be playing Champions League football next season. So that'll be fun to watch.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, Gio Reyna also came off the bench for Dortmund since we're talking about Germany in a terrible 2-1 loss to Frankfurt, which proved to be a 6-point swinger in the race for Champions League football next season.
Yeah, so going into the game, Frankfurt were on 47 points in fourth place, and Dortmund were on 43 points in fifth place. Dortmund really needed to win that game if they wanted a shot at Champions League football for next year. Obviously, they lost, which is just a catastrophe. At the very least, you need to make sure you don't lose because, I mean, they could have changed it to a 1 point gap. Now it's a 7 point gap because they lost. That's disappointing. I think that might be Erling Haaland going somewhere else now next season because I can't see him staying with Dortmund if they don't have Champions League football. Look, the Bundesliga is not like it's not an easy league, but it's not a particularly tough league either. And you look at the players that Dortmund has, and there's no excuse for them to not be in the Champions League spots. So a pretty poor season for them. Gio came in, wasn't able to really do much off the bench. I think he only got like 20 minutes or so. Might have even been less than that. And yeah, they fall again. The only thing I can think of is that with the fact that now they're probably going to have to sell guys like Holland, they might have to sell a Sancho. That could mean more opportunities for Gio next season with Dortmund, getting more consistent starts and everything. So it could be honestly a good thing for Gio Reyna that Dortmund might drop into the Europa League instead of playing in the Champions League next season.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of transfer buzz out there about guys like Holland. So would definitely be cool to see Reyna kind of step up and be like that main star for the club.
Yeah, I hope he goes to Spain. I don't want Holland in the Premier League. I guess if he goes to Man City, it's like you can just accept it because Man City are always already like really, really good. So it's like, all right, whatever.
Or if he's wearing the Arsenal
That's true.
shield, I'll be
Yeah,
fine with that. Cool.
we're just gonna set aside like 150 million just to go buy Holland.
Might as well. So bumming, motherfucker,
Yeah.
pissing me off. Luca de la Torre was just named to the Eredivisie Team of the Month for March and followed it up with another start for.
I think it's Heracles. Yeah.
We'll say Heracles.
Yeah,
in the Dutch League over the weekend.
Yeah, I remember talking about him last week in the pod. He had a really, really good couple of games performances off the bench for the national team. Looked really, really good, and then followed up. I guess he's been in good form for his club. Obviously, made the Eredivisie team of the month for March, and then he got the start over the weekend. I don't exactly know he played. They played PSV, obviously one of the better teams in the Dutch league, and they did lose 3-0. So, but hey, I mean, obviously the type of awards that he's getting, the way he's performed with the national team, a couple of weeks ago, he's obviously doing pretty well for himself.
Pretty good. Another big name that I've been seeing a lot lately, Brendan Aronson, just keeps on contributing to the score sheet for Red Bull's Salzburg as he gets another assist for them over the weekend and a victory over Sturm Graz.
Yeah, I think they so the way it works in the Austrian league is they have I guess they play a regular season and then they start bracketing certain teams. So the top 6 teams will go and play in a certain league by themselves. It's kind of weird. But Sturm Graz is one of those teams in the top 6. They got the victory over them. It was a nice assist by Aronson. He's just productive. He gets goals, he gets assists. He just finds a way to make an impact. He's kind of similar to DK, although I've known about Aronson a little bit longer. But I mean, he didn't really burst onto the scene until less than a year ago. Kind of the MLS is back tournament. That was kind of when he bursted onto the scene as well. And once again, he's just another guy that's just taken off, and his stock just keeps skyrocketing for not only the U.S. men's national team, but for his future as a footballer. And there's already been rumors I've seen about other teams, outside of the in the Big Six or the Big Five leagues, looking at him as a potential transfer because RB Salzburg is kind of one of those teams in Europe that is almost a feeder team into some of these bigger clubs across the top 5 leagues. And Aronson's name has been floating around a little bit. So hopefully he keeps performing and gets himself a big move and, just keeps progressing as a player. Because I think someone like him is really important because he can play that Pulisic role. And
right.
As long as Pulisic is healthy, he's not going to start over Pulisic. But healthy is a key word with Pulisic, and you never know if he is going to be healthy. And so if you can have a reliable backup like Aronson that is going to come in and do a job, that can be really big because we don't really have that normally as U.S. men's national team fan. We don't have a we might have a starter that's close to that level, but our backups are never anywhere near that level. They're normally it's a few steps down. But when you have an Aronson, it's only like a half step down, and you still have a really quality player in there to slot in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It'd be very exciting to see what he's able to do. Um, Over in Spain today, Serginho Dest, too, as we all know, had that amazing goal last week. Started in a 1-0 win for Barcelona.
Yeah, I watched the game. Barcelona kind of struggled. Dest wasn't really in. It wasn't one of his vintage performances. He wasn't, doing anything crazy in the game. Was just kind of steady. Barcelona did score like in the 90th minute through Ousmane Dembele off of a volley on a rebound to give them a huge 1-0 victory. I think they're now only 1 point behind Atletico Madrid in the La Liga table. They played Real Madrid actually on Saturday, the big, the El Clasico, which has massive title implications in Spain. I'm really looking forward to watching that game. Hopefully Des can put in a great performance there and really kind of just keep bursting onto the, because it's not just the U.S. men's national team scene. He's been getting a lot of love lately on a world stage. There's been a lot of people talking about how he's one of the better right backs around. Not just and not saying that tongue in cheek. Some people do say they're like, oh, best right back in the world, and that's like Barcelona fans saying that. Nay, whatever. If they think that, it means obviously he's doing some things right. But he's probably one of the better right backs around in Europe right now, and hopefully he keeps building on his performances. And probably, if I had to say, he's more than likely on form for in the U.S. men's national team pool as of right now. He's probably our best player, and so hopefully he keeps it going. And people forget that he's still only 20, 21 years old, so he's still got a ways to go, and has a lot of potential that he can tap through.
Yeah, very exciting to see his progression so far. Um,
And then a
yeah,
couple more things before we wrap up the men's national team talk. Obviously, we mentioned Daryl DK, his the transfer rumors about him. We have a little bit more sad, like I guess kind of sad. Some people probably saw this coming. Obviously, we know that Jordan Morris tore his ACL, a month or so ago with Swansea City, but we had another American playing there with him, Paul Ariola. It's not gone very well for him. His loan has been cut short. He's getting sent back to DC United. Obviously, he just didn't do it at Swansea. I saw a lot of Swansea fan. I didn't really follow Swansea. I'm not gonna lie. When Morris got hurt, that kind of just took my interest away from them. And but I saw a lot of Swansea fans basically saying that he just wasn't given a shot, and that the way that they've been playing recently under their manager just doesn't fit a player like Ariola. So I don't know if it's really much of what he did, or if it's just the fact that it wasn't a good fit for him. But so unfortunately, it looked like he might have been getting his break in his big break in European football, but it didn't work out for him. He heads back to the MLS. Um, and so hopefully he can regather himself and keep his career going back there for DC United. And then another thing, winger Alex Mighton today plays for Nottingham Forest in the Championship. He is a guy that has played for England at the youth level. Only 18 years old, but he has family that are American citizens, which means that he is national team eligible. And there has been some smoke going around recently that he's a guy that we could see in a U.S. men's national team uniform in the future, kind of like a Yunus Musa, guys like Serginho Dest, those dual nationals that we might be able to snatch away from these bigger nations, just because Mighton can come in and play for the USA within the next year or two. Whereas if he's going to play for England, he's going to have to wait years. And if you look at England, a lot of their good young players are actually wingers. So it's a really tough spot for him. So, but he scored today for Nottingham Forest, got a big goal for them. And so that's just kind of someone I remember we were on the show a month or so ago, and we said look out for Jordan Sabichu. He might be announcing his allegiance to the U.S. men's national team, and hell, it happened like a week after we said it. I don't think that's going to be the case here, but I think keep your eye on Alex Mighton. He's a young kid who's got a lot of talent. He is U.S. men's national team eligible. Just if it's something you want to follow in the championship, plays for Nottingham Forest, got a goal today. He's a bright young talent, and that is somebody that you could see in the future playing for the red, white, and blue.
yeah.
All right, well, thanks, Sling, for taking the reins this week in our U.S. men's national team rundown.
No
The hardest part of
problem.
the rundown is pronouncing all these different names and names of teams and all these European sides.
No
Hey, at
problem.
least you got Daryl DK's name right the first time. When Jake said it the first time, he said something else. We'll
Well,
have to go over that.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, hell, it's still your mic. It's time to get into the Sling Speaks segment of the pod. What do you got for us this week?
All right, so this week's edition of Sling Speaks is going to take more of a serious tone than what we usually hit on. Usually, I come on here on the Sling Speaks segment, and you're expecting some laughs and giggles and some whatever it is. Uh, I felt it was important given that what's been happening on the pitch recently, not just in the Premier League but in soccer in general. Uh, to hit on some of what's happened over the weekend and maybe talk about this issue because it's an issue that we've talked about on the pod before, but we just obviously want to reiterate our stance on everything. Racism in football, on the internet, anywhere should not be tolerated. There was an incident this weekend in the Valencia game. I forget the name of the player who was racially attacked
Yeah,
over the
Diakabi, I
weekend.
think is how you pronounce his name.
Diakabe was subject to racial abuse from I want to say Kala. Was that the
Yeah,
Kala?
Juan Kala, I think is.
Juan
Fuck his
Kala?
name. We don't give a shit about him.
Yeah, racist fuck. But yeah, there's obviously some racial abuse going on in that game, and here at Clueless Yanks, we just want to reiterate that racism in football, in life in general, is not okay. And to our fans, our supporters out there that are listening to us, um, don't tolerate that shit. Don't take it from anyone. If you see it happening, stand up to it. Don't let it happen. Um, and if you see, players that you cheer for or teams that you support, uh, can acting in such a way or partaking in racial abuse, don't support that. And yeah, it's not okay.
Yeah, I don't understand like what goes through your mind to because I've been like mad and gotten angry at like opponents, and when growing up playing sports, and been like, oh, you're a bitch or some shit. That's never even like popped up in my mind to
Trash
just
talk
say
was
something.
so funny,
Yeah,
but I never thought to get
it's never
racist with
even crossed my mind to like become like say something racist, and it's just kind of crazy. And I know you saw the video. I'm sure some of you guys, if not all you guys that are listening to the pod, probably saw the video. But that dude, the Juan Cala or whatever, how you pronounce his name, he looks so fucking guilty too. He said that he 100% said some racist
He looks
shit.
like a little kid who, like,
Yeah,
he calls his friend a bitch or something, and his friend runs to the teacher to go tell, and he's
yeah.
just kind of sitting over there like, oh, like he knows he's in trouble. He knows he's about
It's
to
like
get it.
you.
Like,
It's like when you catch your dog get into the trash and they just kind of look at you with they're like, oh shit, I know I just fucked up.
yeah,
Yeah, he looked guilty as hell, and then they obviously they called off the game originally. There's a rule in Spain. I guess they said that like, yeah, you have to finish the game or else you're going to lose points. That's something that maybe needs to be addressed. I don't know. That's just weird. I don't like how okay, so they would have lost points if they didn't come out there because they were supporting their teammate. I don't really like that. And then, unfortunately, they ended up losing that game in like the 88th minute when they came back out and played it. So that made it even worse. But yeah, just disappointing. The one thing that I'll say is that there are so many. We see the problem with racism on the internet to these players, in their DMs, their replies to their tweets and posts on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Unfortunately, there's just not like, I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, you can maybe regulate it a little bit, but there's just idiots out there that just make troll accounts just to be dickheads and just to be assholes to people for no reason. I don't know if they just get off on it or whatever. Just it makes them feel a certain way, but I don't understand how it happens like on the pitch from opposing players. It's really
from
unacceptable.
professionals.
Yeah, and if he said it, which I'm sure he did, he looked guilty as hell. Um, and if he did say it, I hope he's handed a lengthy ban. Maybe at least like a year or so away from football, and he needs to like take some kind of courses or whatever on race and things like that. But he deserves a heavy fine as well. But some these punishments have got to start being more severe because what happens is one, in a lot of cases, there's not even any punishments, and then two, when there is a punishment, it's a slap on the wrist. And so, like, there's no incentive for them to not do it anymore. Besides, the fact that just be a decent human being and don't say that shit. But obviously, they don't care about that. So there's got to be bigger punishments than the ones that they hand out now. And and hopefully that's something that FIFA will look into. These individual leagues will look into because it's becoming more and more prominent. I don't know if that's because it's actually getting worse, or if these players that have just been getting racially abused forever have finally felt like they can stand up to it and speak about it. But it's really become a problem as of late, the last year or so, on the pitch, because we have it on the internet and we have it from fans and all, but I haven't really seen this many cases on the pitch from opposing players, because obviously we saw it in the Rangers and Slavia Prague game a couple weeks ago in the Europa League. And so, yeah, there's something's got to be done about it.
Yeah.
All right. So, anyways, let's jump back into the Big Six, um, and we're going to give the preview for the midweek and weekend games. Every Big Six team bar, I believe, who's the only Big Six team that's not playing in the midweek? Oh, it's Spurs, because they got knocked out of Europa League, so they don't get a midweek game this week. They get to watch the rest of the Big Six have fun and play for trophies while they sit over their trophyless another season running. But we're going to start the Champions League. Some really good games. Man City, they host Dortmund. I'm kind of excited to see that, just from a standpoint of, I hope Gio Reyna can maybe he'll start or at least get some minutes in that game. I want to see Erling Haaland play against Man City. Hell, it could be a future team of his. So I am kind of excited about the attacking prowess those two teams have, but at the same time, I think Man City is a much better team overall. And so obviously we got to start our predictions for the month of April. Jake obviously won't be on the pod to make it. We'll make sure that he puts in his predictions by the end of tonight and has them set and sealed before the game start tomorrow. But me and Sling are going to give ours. For me in that game, Man City are at home. I'm going to go with, I think Holland might be able to nick a goal, but I'm going to go with a solid 3-1 victory for the citizens.
3-1. Man, this is going to be a pretty exciting game, I think. I think all around, I think Man City is probably the stronger team. Although I think watching Holland match up against Man City would be a lot of fun. Also, considering that might potentially be his future club. Uh, I don't know. I'll say Man City, but I'll go 2-1, not 3-1.
This for me is this next game. I think is even more like interesting for me. Liverpool and Real Madrid, obviously a matchup of the 2019 Champions League final, and or 2019 or no 2018 Champions League final. Sorry, but or it might have been 20. Whatever, the Champions League final a couple years ago. They played Real Madrid. Obviously won that game, but it's a rematch of that. They're two teams that aren't exactly, meeting their expectations or exceeding their expectations this season. Liverpool have obviously have had a down year. Real Madrid, they've also had a down year, maybe not as to the extent of Liverpool, but they still, for their high standards, they haven't had a great season. But I think this could be a really good matchup. You got brilliant players on both sides, Salah and Mane and guys like that, versus Benzema and Sergio Ramos. Although I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Sergio Ramos might be injured for this tie. So that's like kind of huge in my opinion. Real Madrid do get this first game at home, and they have been pretty strong defensively. So this is a really tough game for me to call. I think Liverpool are going to be riding some kind of like confidence boost after just taking it to Arsenal over the weekend, and so I think that'll push them on a little bit. But I'm not sure if I can just go for them going to Madrid and getting a win. Um, so I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. That's what I got for this game.
Ooh, that's a good pick. I'm gonna say I don't know if I want to pick a draw necessarily. You know, I'll take a risk on Real. I'll go 2-1 Real Madrid.
All right. I could see that game. I could see going either way. I think it's kind of up in the air. I think it's a
Yeah.
really good matchup. I'm looking forward to watching that tomorrow. And then we move on to Wednesday. Chelsea, they play their Champions League first leg in Portugal against Porto on Wednesday at 2 p.m. here locally for our time. Probably the best matchup that Chelsea could have gotten. Porto, more than likely the weakest team left in the competition, albeit they had a great win over two legs against Juventus. But I don't think I'm pretty sure Jake would agree that that's the most favorable matchup they could have gotten. I think Porto looked decent against Juventus, or I might be cutting them short. I thought they looked really good against Juventus, um, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to keep that up. I'm hoping maybe Pulisic will be back. I don't know if he will be. I haven't really seen any report on him and the extent of his injury. So I would say if I had to guess, he probably won't be playing in this game. Um, but I do see Chelsea likely bouncing back, and I think they're going to get a 2-1 victory in Portugal in the away leg.
I'm gonna say I'll say 2-0 Chelsea. Um, just like you, I think they'll put up a couple goals, but I don't think Porto is going to put any past them. I'll go 2-0.
West Brom puts up 5 on them, but Porto can't score. That's rough. All right, moving on to the Europa League, starting up on Thursday. United and Arsenal both still in the Europa League, like we already said. Spurs not so much; they are out of it. But we're going to start with Manchester United. Kind of like Chelsea, they probably got the most favorable matchup with Granada, a team that wasn't even in La Liga, I think, like 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. But I think this is a pretty straightforward game for United. I know Granada have had a really good run, but I think if you made a combined 11 of Man United and Granada players, United would have all 11 players. So I just think at some point it becomes a talent disparity, and I'm going to go with a United 2-0 victory.
I'm going to say United 3-0. Give them one extra goal.
Damn.
They're going to put it on.
And then the big one for us, obviously the biggest game of the week.
Biggest game of the year. Biggest game of all time.
Everyone on the planet is going to be tuning in for this one. Arsenal versus the racists. I mean, Slavia Prague. A massive game. Like I said, I'm worried. I really hope we at least have a couple of those guys back. Saka, Smith Rowe, Xhaka. I don't know how bad Tierney's injury is, but I don't think he'll be back for this game. But I mean, I'm nervous. It's our home leg. We've got to have a good performance. Ideally, you want a performance where you get a win and a shutout, so you don't give up any away goals. I don't trust this defense right now, the way they've been playing, especially with the mistakes they make, to get a shutout. And so, yeah, this is a rough one for me. I hope the boys have a response. I can't go against my team as much as my head is maybe saying that this could be my head is saying that this could be a draw, but I just can't. My heart is saying that I can't do that. I got to put some faith in my team. I think that they might bounce back, have a performance, a bounce back performance after that just pitiful performance at the weekend against Liverpool. So I'm going to give them the edge. I'm going to say Arsenal. I'm going to give them the slight edge. I'm going to say a 2-1 victory for the Gunners.
I'm also not confident, but just because we're not going to pick against our Gunners, I'll go ahead and I'll match that, and I'll also put down a 2-1. We're in this together.
I wouldn't be over the moon about that result, but I wouldn't be upset either. I'll take a win in the first leg, even if it means we give up an away goal.
So we are going to give up a goal. It
just means we got to go to Prague and just get a draw to bounce through. All right, so that's enough for the midweek games. Now we move on to the weekend. Man City kicks us off early Saturday. They host Leeds United. Leeds gave them a really good game earlier in the year. They went back and forth against them. It was a really, really fun occasion. But I think Leeds have maybe not been as sharp lately as they were at the beginning of the year, and I think City have been a lot better than they were at the beginning of the year. So I'm going to go for a comfortable Man City win. I'm going to go very comfortable. Actually, no, I don't know if I can, because this is smack dab in the middle of them playing 2 games in the Champions League. I didn't even think about that. So are they going to rest players in the league and maybe look past it a little bit? But at the same time, it's like they're going for a title, so it's kind of hard to look past games in the league when you're fighting for a title. So I'm gonna go. I was gonna say 3-0 City, but because of that, I'm gonna say 3-1 City. I think maybe they have one lapse of concentration, but I think they still get a clean W.
I like it comfortable too. I'll go 2-0.
2-0
City. Yeah.
I mean that's a safe score line with City. It seems like they beat every single team 2-0 or 7-0, something like that.
No in between.
Another team that is going to be playing in the middle of two Champions League games. We've got Liverpool. They host Aston Villa. Once again, I don't know. I didn't actually pay attention to Aston Villa this weekend. I wonder if Jack Grealish was back for their win over Fulham. So if he is back, then it's a little bit different. I think they're a much different team with him in the lineup. And if he's not, I just don't think they have any chance against Liverpool. And yeah, looking at this, they don't have Jack Grealish still. He wasn't even on the bench. So yeah, I'm gonna go Liverpool. I'm gonna go with a 2-0 victory. 2-0 victory for Liverpool in that game.
2-0. I also like Liverpool. I'm going to say, come on, what's the number? I'll go 3-0.
3-0, damn.
I think Liverpool is going to give it to them.
They're on the up according to us. Chelsea, another team. I mean, all these teams besides Spurs have to play smack dab in the middle of European games. That's just the price of being a big club, and Spurs obviously aren't. So Chelsea, they come off of a game against Porto, and they play Crystal Palace. They're at Crystal Palace, a fellow London club. And yeah, I mean, I see Chelsea. This is a tough one for me because I feel like Crystal Palace is always just one of those teams that plays well against the Big Six because they can defend pretty well and they have dangerous guys on the counter like Wilfred Zaha, Eze, even Benteke. When he wants to be good, he can be good. And so this isn't like an easy pick for me, but I'm going to give Chelsea. I think they're just going to edge it 1-0.
1-0. I mean, yeah, no, you made a lot of great points there. Crystal Palace obviously has a lot of dangerous guys when they're on, but also I think Chelsea will come out and I think they'll take it. And I'll give Crystal Palace a goal. I'm gonna go 2-1 Chelsea.
And then we got the big one at the weekend. Spurs United. Spurs obviously beat the hell out of United last time they played at Old Trafford. I think it was 6-1. There was a whole Anthony Martial red card incident. I don't see it going that way this time. But at the same time, United have to travel to Spain to play in the Europa League on Thursday, whereas Spurs get to kick their feet back and chill in London the whole time. And then United have to travel back to England, and then they have to travel to London to play Spurs. I think that takes a little bit of a toll on them. And I think Spurs, I don't know. I feel like Jose Mourinho, he just gets big results every now and then. And I think he might get a big one here. I'm gonna go 2-1 Spurs, as much as it pains me to say that.
Wow, you motherfucker, really? Oh man,
If United weren't playing in Europa League, I'd probably say either a draw or United win. But just because Spurs get to kick their feet back and chill and rest for that game, I think that the travel and all the games might take a toll on United. And Spurs might just be able to. It looks like Son. He came off the bench in their last game, so maybe he'll be back in the starting lineup. Harry Kane is firing right now. I think that they might be able to combine a couple times for a couple of goals and eke out a victory.
I won't give. I'm not gonna give Spurs a win. I'm not gonna give United the win either. I'm gonna go with a draw.
Yeah.
I think that's.
I actually, when I first looked at that game, I was thinking draw, but then as I started to talk, I convinced myself that Spurs were going to win. So hopefully, I didn't just pick them to win for nothing. Hopefully, I actually get it right and it counts towards the picks.
You're gonna hate yourself.
Yeah, because then I picked them to win and I was still wrong, so it looked like a coward.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyways, Arsenal, they start their run of very favorable games from now until the end of the season in the Premier League. Really, the only tough game in there, or really tough game that on paper we probably won't win, is at Chelsea. But besides that, we have a lot of favorable games, starting with Sheffield United at the weekend. Yes, it's at Sheffield United, but they've been pitiful this season. I think they're gone already. They're really not playing for anything. I know. Arsenal plays in the midweek against Slavia Prague. Sheffield United don't. They're going to be well rested, but at the same time, we're playing at home. And I think at the end of the day, they're just going to have too much for Sheffield United. I think we'll pull out a 2-0 victory in that game. I think we might actually keep a clean sheet for the first time in the Premier League in freaking ages.
I also said 2-0 Arsenal. Sheffield is done, down and out. Probably the only team that's more down bad than Arsenal right now. So I got to pick our Gunners.
The battle of the down bads.
Battle of the down batters. Down batters. I like that.
10 games of picks kicking off this new month, and we'll see how it goes. Me and Jake have a W so far. We both also have 2 L's. So Sling's the only one that doesn't have an L or a W. Let's see if maybe this will be his month. Maybe we'll see how it goes.
Maybe I'll win my title. Maybe I'll finally get my punishment. Who knows?
Either way, maybe you'll finish second again. You'll just have to. We'll just have to wait and see. And we're gonna make sure that Jake puts his picks in by tonight. We can't have him, putting them in tomorrow and be like, "Oh yeah, I knew that Man City was gonna win this game." Da 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 da. After the fucking final score's already been put.
I will break his fucking legs if he tries to pull that shit.
Oh God!
You better put his in tonight,
or else you know what? 0 points for the week. 0 points.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Which would suck if we fucking put up like
just get a fat lead on him.
We put up like 2 points apiece, and
then he can take 5 or 10 minutes tonight from playing Xbox and fucking do his picks instead.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Anyways, that wraps up the pod, or just about wraps up the pod. Before we get out of here, we got to give our winners and losers of the week. Sling, you want to kick it off with? Just give us both.
So my a big winners for the week. I'm gonna say it's me and Logan. We got to do a Gunner heavy pod this week. Didn't have to worry about bitch ass Jake. Got to cut that dead weight off the pod. It was a good time.
We got to do like an actual Gunner heavy pod, like at the end of the season or some shit, as like a season review. Just me and
you. Get the Chelsea casuals off my goddamn podcast for the one time. And then my loser of the week is Jake because he missed out on the podcast. No, my actual loser for the week is Arsenal. They looked fucking pitiful over the weekend, and honestly, just really disgusted.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as obvious of a loser as you'll get. Besides maybe Spurs a couple weeks ago when they lost to Dinamo Zagreb.
Spurs are usually my loser, so it pains me that we're back on the Arsenal as the loser of the week train.
Yeah, my winner of the week. There's a couple I could choose from. I'm going to I could say Liverpool, but I don't because that's kind of bland. So I'm going to go with West Brom. I think they're still done. I still think they're down and out, but they gave themselves just that little bit of light at the end of the tunnel with that win over Chelsea. They gave themselves just that tiniest of a chance to maybe survive the Premier League. If they can put in performances like that from now on until the end of the season, they do have a shot. And going into the weekend, I thought they were dead and buried, and now they just kind of got a hand sticking out. They got a little bit of life, and so yeah, they're my winners of the week. Although that might not last very long because they could very well be relegated within the next few. My loser of the week is the same. It's Arsenal. I'm going to go in particular Mikel Arteta. He's losing fans. You can't put in performances like that. I understand that he can't go out there and play for his players. So certain mistakes like the Gabriel mistake on Liverpool's third goal, there's nothing he can do about that. Holding I don't understand how Holding's like 6'2", and yet he always gets beat it's not even really beat in the air, but he's just never in position to head balls away. It happened obviously with Diogo Jota against Liverpool, just being basically unmarked on his backside. And then it happened against Man City, a month or so ago, Raheem Sterling. Guys that are 5-6 inches shorter than him, and he's letting them get headers in the box. So Arteta can't go out there and head the ball for him, and he can't go out there and make sure Gabriel doesn't pass the ball directly to a Liverpool player, but he can set his team up in a more positive way. And I know they talked about on the broadcast that before the game, Arteta said that, pretty much you have to be real at this point in the league. We're not really playing for much. There is still an outside chance at Europa League spots. Obviously, mathematically, there's some other things in play, but we are so far down the table and have had a really poor season in the league so far that we're not playing for much. So he said, quote unquote, that the handbrake is off. It looked like the handbrake was completely fucking stuck that entire game in position because the handbrake was not off. We provided nothing that entire game. We played like a bunch of pussies. And at the end of the day, yes, that's on the players partly, but it's also on the manager for how we set up. And I know some things his hands were tied in some circumstances with like Saka, Smith Rowe, Louise, Jack, all them guys being out, Tierney getting hurt during the game. But just the way that we played was terrible, and that all comes back to the manager. I'm obviously I am an Arteta stan. I'm an Arteta fan. I know there's a portion of the fan base that wants him out, but I mean, a few more performances like that, and dude, I can't even sit here and defend the man anymore. And I'm gonna be Arteta out soon as well, so he's got to tighten it up. Hopefully, it begins on Thursday with Slavia Prague, and starts getting back in the good graces of the Arsenal faithful. All right, well
Definitely.
that'll just about do it for this week's pod. Pretty good time. Just about an hour or so. A little bit shorter without Jake's random rambling on the pod. Just the nonsense that he
Dumbass.
spews.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, we got to tell the people what we learned this week. What did you learn, Sling?
I learned that the pod runs a lot more smooth when Jake's not here. Cut out some, like I said, that Chelsea
We're docking his
casual
pay.
way. I learned that I guess I already knew this, but maybe I'd forgotten how bad allergies can take you out. I have real bad like seasonal allergies,
So
and
I'm lucky.
I
I haven't gotten mine yet.
haven't gotten my ass beat by mine like this bad in a while. Like this weekend, my face was all swollen. Looked like I got bit by a bee or something, like or stung by a bee, I guess. Yeah. So if anyone with seasonal allergies is listening to this, yeah, like it's that time of the year. Just be careful.
Brace yourselves.
Watch out. These streets are dangerous. The pollen will get you.
For me this week, I don't know exactly what I learned, to be honest with you. From like a footballing standpoint.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no,
some of the things
I
you already
learned
went over. Well, I
nothing.
mean, I kind of learned that Josie Altidore is like, I don't know, like a little racist and psychotic.
A little
I guess I
racist
learned.
wash boy.
I guess I kind of learned that he's just going off on Taylor Twellman on Twitter for basically no reason. So I didn't see that coming. I would say I learned that, but then just in regular life stuff, I learned that Donnie is a scumbag. Our buddy Donnie. We play pro clubs. I don't know if you
He
guys
is
know
a
what this
scumbag.
is, but it's FIFA 21. Obviously the football soccer video game, and there's
Pro
this thing
club.
on there called pro clubs. I'm sure some of our listeners probably play FIFA, and you might know what it is. But you play with your buddies. You pick certain positions. You play with them. We started off really well in the beginning of the season. We're in Division Two. We've never been promoted to Division One, and we had 15 points after 7 games, and we only needed 18 to get promoted. And Donnie said, "Oh yeah, we got this in the bag," or something like that, some of that sort.
Oh
Jinxed
no,
it.
he's doing that dumbass shit. He was like, oh, on the flight to Division
He was acting
One,
like he's a freaking like a
flight.
pilot or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't know. He jinxed it. That's about the fourth or fifth time he's done that this FIFA. So I might have to. Some consequences might have to be dealt. I'm getting tired of this bastard jinxing shit on FIFA.
needs an ass whooping.
He does. That's what I learned this week.
As
I learned
per
that we might have to jump Donnie when he gets back in town.
for sure.
All right. Well, appreciate everyone for listening, tuning in. We obviously had to get this out today, bearing with us without Jake, no Chelsea constituent for this podcast. He was obviously busy, like we said earlier in the pod. Just me and Sling today. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We wanted to get it out before the national championship tonight starts here in about an hour and a half, and more importantly, we wanted to get it out before those games start in the Champions League tomorrow, so you guys can listen to our predictions and all that good stuff. And so, yeah, shout out to everybody that tuned in. Again, our concurring viewers that tune in for another week. Shout out to anyone that's new. Quick little social media plug. We are on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok. Look up Clueless Yanks on all those platforms. We should have links down below for those social media apps as well. If you want to just follow that. Also, if you're listening to us on Apple or whatever on a podcast platform, leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. Tell your friends about us. If they listen to the Premier League, if they're a fan of one of these teams, one of these Big Six teams, tell them to take a tune in. Maybe if they're a Spurs fan, I don't know. We kind of talk shit about Spurs all the time, so they might just get mad if they listen
Oh
to
no,
us.
no, no, no! Tell your Spurs friends to listen up.
But
We got some shit that they need to hear. So let your
we,
Spurs
we
friends
keep it
know on the
real
pod.
on this pod.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, so thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. And yeah, same time next week, same day, Monday evening. Hopefully, we'll have Jake back on the pod then. and Monday evening releases here in the States. Very, very late night releases across Europe, or very early morning, however you want to put it. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
Catch y'all later.
Take it easy, everyone.